You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on mixing engineers. You can mix your own music. You just need the right... What do you need? Alright! You need these 5 tips! It took me years of trial and error to get good at mixing, and today I'm sharing with you these 5 tips that when I started implementing them, my mixing skills improved literally overnight. So you better smash that like button, goddammit! Tip number 1. Let me introduce this one with a story. So, I was working on one of my upcoming releases, and I was super passionate about the project. Like, the arrangement was great, the bass was super tight, and everything sounded just super clean. But for some reason, the main synth was just... something felt off about it, you know? It felt weirdly out of place. I thought, maybe it needs some sort of delay or reverb? So I spent the whole hour trying out different reverb and delay settings, and nothing was working. It still sounded bad. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board. I know. It must be the resonant frequencies. I'm going to EQ them out. And after hours of experimenting with the EQ, finally, the main synth sounded even worse. Fuck. This was super frustrating, so I went for a walk to clear my head. I was bummed out, you know, I wasn't really sure what to do with my project from here. But then, I had a revelation.
Nick! Lower the fucking volume, you dumbass!
The mixing gods spoke to me. But what did they mean?
The fuck you mean, what did they mean? Just lower the fucking volume! That synth is way too loud!
So I rushed back to my studio and started lowering the main synth's volume. I ended up adjusting it by -10 decibels, and it instantly sounds 10 times better. Like, what the fuck? I was wasting my time with trying out all these different effects, while literally all I had to do was adjust the volume slider, which taught me an important lesson. Volume sliders are king. Focus on them first and foremost. If you think that something's wrong with your mix, more often than not, the issue can be most likely resolved by adjusting the volume slider. And I mean, yeah, effects like EQ, saturation, compression, I'm not saying they're completely useless, but they should come second. And speaking of second, let's talk about tip number 2. I wouldn't have gotten that revelation from the mixing gods if I hadn't gone on that walk. Take breaks, your ears need them. Tip number 3. Tell me if this has happened to you before. Let's say you're mixing one of the instruments in your track. You're adjusting the settings here and there on the compressor, boosting some frequencies with the EQ, making some dips where it's needed, and you think to yourself, yeah, that's better. But then you realize you've been adjusting the settings on an entirely different channel. More than that, the channel itself was muted this whole entire time. And yet somehow it felt like you were making real changes there. You know, relying too much on visuals can often be really misleading. Auditory illusions are a real thing. If you don't believe me, Google the McGurk effect. It's pretty trippy. So, what are some practical ways to mix with your ears more often? Good question. For example, the next time you're unsure whether to add an effect or not, try making decision with your eyes closed. Like, literally, try moving your mouse onto the on-off button, close your eyes, click it a bunch of times so that you don't know whether it's on or off, and with your eyes still closed, switch it on and off, and make the decision which version you like more. Oftentimes, you'll find that you're stupid, and the effects were actually making it sound worse. Or another idea, if you wanna EQ with more intuition, you can turn this specific button off on the A button, EQ-A, and with this turned off, the EQ won't actually show the waveform of the sound that you're editing. So you'll have to rely on your ears entirely. You might only wanna do this if you're a bit more advanced, but honestly, doing it that way is a breath of fresh air, in my opinion. You could even save this as a default preset of the EQ plugin. Trust your ears, not your eyes. Actually, that's a lie. You can't trust your ears either. Not unless you can trust your monitoring system. That's tip number 4. And look, I get it. I don't have $1,000 for a pair of professional studio monitors either, and Even more so, I don't have the $2,000 for soundproofing my room acoustically. Actually, the most expensive piece of gear I own is these headphones, which I got for like $100. And somehow I managed to get by. How so? There's a couple ways. First off, I never, ever rely on only my headphones. When mixing, I also have my speakers hooked up to my audio interface so that I can quickly switch between them. Admittedly, the speakers are kinda shit, not gonna lie, but they're still very helpful as another point of reference. But that's not all, because even when I think my mix is sounding good on both my speakers and my headphones, I always double and triple and even quadruple check away from the studio. I always try to listen on as many sound systems as possible. And the workflow for that is actually quite simple. You just upload your mix to SoundCloud, set it to private, and you probably know where this is going now. Just listen to it on your earbuds, on your Bluetooth speaker, and most importantly, listen to your mix in your car. Do it! I dare you! I fucking dare you! The SoundCloud approach is also very convenient because you can add notes for yourself inside of the comment section on SoundCloud. This is not sponsored, by the way. SoundCloud, please sponsor me. What this video is sponsored by is myself. All this mixing is cool and all, but you're still gonna need to master your track. I just so happen to have made a mastering checklist for you to follow that you can download for free. So if you want to master your track in 15 minutes and save yourself $40, go to the first link in the description right now and download the checklist. Back to the video. Yeah, so you can only trust your ears, provided you can trust your monitoring system. Wait, no, that's actually a lie. There's one more condition. And if you don't have this, your mix is probably still gonna sound like trash. It's metaphor time. Let's say you're a boxer, right? You could have the fastest moves, you could have the biggest muscles, and your boxing gloves could even have brass knuckles hidden underneath. But if you're oblivious as to where your opponent is, and you don't know where to throw your punches, then what are you gonna do? You're fucked! And same thing goes with mixing. You need to know what to aim for with your mix. And how do you know what to aim for with your mix? By using reference tracks. Reference tracks. Reference tracks. Reference tracks. Fucking use them! I'm trying to drill this into your brain. It was a night and day difference when I started using reference tracks, so I think you definitely should start using them as well. Now, you might be asking yourself,
wait, how do I even use reference tracks? What are reference tracks?
These are both very good questions, and the answer is a bit complicated. But worry not, because I make these things simple and easy to understand in this video. Click here right now to watch it, and I'll see you there. Cheers.